Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Dream Queen. So, I've been wrestling with a couple of things the past few days, and been having a couple of dreams that have been, I guess, I should say, giving me confirmation as what I should be talking about in this video, anyways. So, the past few days, I've been looking at what is it exactly that I feel that God is calling me to do. Again, you can call God whatever you choose to call him in your opinion. Sorry, I'm just moving some stuff around. And what you choose to believe or whatever it is. Sorry, I'm just looking for something. This video is going to be in regards to the dark night of the soul. Now, when we go through this process of what people call awakening or whatever you want to call it, again, titles really don't mean anything. We have to understand that everything is from a perspective, an individual's perspective, point of view, and what they believe and what they choose not to believe. Now, I sat down and I was thinking about, like, okay, where I'm at now with what I'm doing and how I feel about myself. And it is so funny because God always, again, that's just the word I'm going to use. That's who he is to me. Anyways, moving forward. You will get to know a lot about yourself when you interact with other people. And sometimes people say things that have nothing to do with what you're speaking about at the moment. But it's more of you becoming aware at the moment of what they're saying and really try to figure out what God is saying to you. So we're going to start off with where, at this point, I believe my journey really started when it came to seeking for more. Now, as a child and growing up as a teenager, I always saw things differently. I always saw things from a different perspective, which wasn't always accepted, which is fine, but it did cause a lot of challenges. And throughout the years, the more that I tried to conform myself to what society wanted, I started to lose sight of who I was. By the time I was 18, I was married, had a baby on the way, and I had completely lost my identity. I had no idea who I was. And when you get to a point where you allow yourself to be defined by other people, sooner or later, God is going to wake you up to that. And it is not always going to be an easy process. I have watched videos, done a lot of research on people who have gone through the dark night of the soul and how their journey has been either easy, hard, can go for days, for weeks, months, years. So I started thinking about that and I was like, what was my journey like? Like, where did it start, or where am I able to start now speaking about it, where it's not going to, at the part where I have healed up to that point? Because you have to understand, with this process, it is going to be a continuous work. We're always going to be healing something. Now, the way that I look at it, and do not quote me, I have not studied metaphysical or quantum physics or anything like that. This is just what I have learned through my own experience. The way that I see it is that, as we're aware, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind obviously holds all of our information of who we are, of our DNA, our history, our ancestors, blah, 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 blah. Regardless of whether you believe in past lives or not, because if you don't believe in past lives and you believe in the DNA evolution, and then we're carrying things from, 3-4 generations, even further back. So anyways, not the point. The point is that our subconscious mind will only allow our conscious mind to deal with, or heal, I should say, certain portions at a time. And why do I say that? Well, I've had many conversations with people that tell me that and these are family members, that I do not seem, quote unquote, because again, society has an image of what we should look like or how we should react or where we should be at and how we should express ourselves and how we should, all of these things that are really not true. So when I was told, I was asked one, no, I was told one day that I have not healed how I thought I had healed. And that made me wonder, like, well, what do you mean? Well, if you were truly healed from your past, then you wouldn't react such and such way. And at the time, I said what I'm going to say to you. I'm not exactly sure if the person got the message or if they even understood it, but I still said it. And I was like, well, in my opinion, what I state I have healed, I've healed. One, because I am able to speak about it without breaking down, without crying. I am able to look at the past events and not let it affect my emotional state right now. Number one. Number two, what I have healed so far was not all healed in one process. It has been a long process of healing. And, I was asked, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, what happens is our subconscious mind is only going to allow our conscious mind to deal with certain information at a time. Because if we don't deal with a small portion, with the surface of it first, there is no way that our conscious mind is going to be able to process the depth of our healing, because it really just doesn't understand. So it has to be like baby steps. So when babies are born, first you start, people think that you start crawling. You actually don't. You start creeping, which is that kind of like dragging. No, sorry. You start crawling first. Crawling is not on all fours. That's what I meant to say. Crawling is when you're kind of like dragging yourself, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't it like that? And then creeping is when you're on all fours and then you start walking. Or creeping and crawling is vice versa. Whatever. The whole point is that we go in stages. So you don't go from being a baby that is sitting down to straight walking, because your legs are not going to be able to handle it. Your body, you're not able to keep your body up. And I'm going to look for that information because that's going to drive me a little crazy. Anyways, so I sat there and I tried to explain this, that, as we heal the part and we come to accept and we're able to revisit that part that we healed, then, we kind of feel like, oh, okay, everything is good. Da, 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 da. And then something is going to come along that is going to make you go back to that, to think either about that situation or event or whatever, person or whatever it is that you were trying to heal. And again, remember, a lot of healing has nothing, I shouldn't say nothing. Healing does not only include about forgiving a situation or a person. Also, it's mainly about forgiving yourself. So really looking into yourself. So I would revisit situations and I'm like, okay, but I heal that. And I'm a go person. Like, I cannot quiet down for like a second. I love talking, obviously. But that's not the point. The point is that I would just sit there and I'm like, but I heal that. And I'm like literally like talking to that. And I'm like, but, we heal that. And I can talk to people about that without crying, without breaking down. So what is it you want me to see? And I would just sit there in silence and kind of like revisit the situation, the event. And again, this is just how it works for me. I'm not saying that it works for everybody. And then he will show me a little part, like I'll be able to see a little bit more, and I will break down and cry. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that was connected to this. Now, what is my main thing? With this video, we're going to talk about where my journey with the dark night of the soul actually began. And it actually began with self-image, believe it or not. Now, I thought that it began when I felt that my relationship with my ex-husband finished, but it didn't. And I honestly, like, this is what I thought, like, and I mean, we were one of those couples that would break up and get back, break up and get back. Like, it was a yo-yo effect, back and forth. It was a cycle that was not broken. And when I decided at one point that that was it and I was going to heal everything that had happened between us, I decided that that was going to be it. And I went through a period of the dark night of the, what I thought was the initiative of the dark night of the soul, because I started looking at things that I didn't like in him first, in the events that took place. But then I switched it where I was looking at myself, and I was looking at the things that I didn't like in myself, the things that I had done wrong, the way that I had misinterpreted or misunderstood things that were said and done towards me. Now, why do I say I thought that was the beginning? And this past week, I've just been so uneasy and so like, like, but what you're trying to tell me, I already know. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, shh, quiet down for like a second and let me tell you. So I sat down, and it took me back to this. Now, in order to understand what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give you a little background. And I'm actually going to write what came to me that led me to this video, because I don't want to read it because it's a little long, but if you're interested in reading it, it's going to be under the description. And it's just a little short clip of, what I went through during this stage when it was starting to happen. Growing up, I am Spanish. I am Dominican. Born and not raised, but born in the Dominican Republic. I came to the States when I was about a month old. So my mother left here when she was pregnant with me. We are a culture that takes pride in how we dressed, how our house looks, how we're perceived by other people. This is just what throughout the years has happened. Growing up, girls were expected to wear dresses and stockings and have their hair done a certain way, and you were supposed to behave a certain way, and you were supposed to. I started to retaliate, if you want to use that word, at a very young age. And, it's funny how your subconscious shows you certain things. My biggest things was dresses and stockings. Oh my God, I hated wearing stockings. I actually used to do something that I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I was really like, a little bit out there for my head, for my age anyways. So as I was growing up, I remember throwing tantrums for not wanting to wear dresses, for not wanting to wear stockings, or those little shiny shoes. Because, you wore a dress, stockings, then those little nice socks, and then the shiny shoes. And then your hair was always had to be done. Now, I come from a huge family from my father's side. My mother's side of the family, most of them at the time when I was growing up were still in Dominican Republic. So we used to see them during the summer. So every weekend we would spend in the city with my cousins, with everybody. It was like every weekend there was a party because it was always someone's birthday. I mean, the last time we counted, there was 8 kids from marriage, from my grandparents, but there's like 8 or 9 outside of marriage. But if you count just from within the marriage, from the 8 children, is that 8? Yeah, I think it's 8. There was like, we're like 30 something cousins and like 40 something great grandkids. And then, and then there's so it's like 30 something cousins. Then within us, we have like 40 something at that time. This was like when my grandmother turned 90, so this was like 6 years ago that we had counted. So right now we're like extremely huge. I actually had to find out what that number is. Anywho, so when you come from a big family like that, obviously there's always going to be someone's birthday, always someone something. So we lived in Jersey. We used to travel to Jersey a lot every weekend to be with family. So I would retaliate because I don't want to wear a dress. Thank God when I turned 10 and I got my period. I'm sorry. I know, too much information. But that was my last straw. I was like, I'm done. I'm not wearing any more dresses. My 10th birthday is my last one, and I'm done. But anyways, I used to do this thing. I think it was about 4.5 or 5 when I started doing it. So I would cry not to wear stockings. So what I would do is, obviously I have narcolepsy. I was undiagnosed at the time. But I would fall asleep. And since I had the tendency to fall asleep so much, everybody thought it was fine. And I would go into deep sleep where they couldn't wake me up. I learned at a young age that sounds gonna sound disgusting, but I could pee myself while I was sleeping. Sometimes I would pretend to sleep. so that at least, but I wouldn't do it until we got to the destination. Not while I was home, not while we were driving, because we could always stop and buy stuff. But this would happen when we were already there. Everybody was settled. Everybody was drinking already and eating and stuff like that. So if I peed myself at the correct time, then the stockings would come off, which was awesome. So then this way I only had to deal with the dress. So I used to do that a lot. And then eventually, I think a couple of months later, my mother caught on to me and started bringing extra stockings. So I just kind of stopped, which is kind of like, whatever. But anyways, then throughout my teen years and stuff like that, I wanted to always be comfortable, and people couldn't understand that. And I wanted to wear sweats, and I wanted to wear t-shirts, and I really didn't care what my hair looked like. I really didn't care what, I didn't care about the makeup. I didn't care about looking pretty. I didn't care about none of that. And it's always like, what is wrong with you? So after, and it was always that constant thing. So after I had my son, I gained a lot of weight. I gained over 70 pounds with my first. And I remember during that pregnancy, I hardly, I used to sleep a lot, but I was getting no rest. I guess that's when my narcolepsy really started taking off. And unaware, I just thought it was because I was pregnant. So I gained a lot of weight, and then I was struggling to lose it. Because even though growing up I was never thin, I used to love working out. So I would, if I gained, 15, 20 pounds, I could take it off easy because of the reason that I like to actually be physical. So I tried, everything. And, every time I went to see family, it was like, oh my God, you need to lose weight. Oh my God, you've gotten so fat. Oh my God, you really need to do something. And I started concentrating so much on that. And I made my ex-husband's life a living hell. I would throw tantrums. I would throw things on. I was a nightmare to live with, all because of what people were telling me about my weight. I was like, wow. And I believed it. So I started to value myself in regards to my weight. And then I started to think, oh my God, if I could lose the weight, if I can go back to the 135 I was before I got pregnant, maybe I can save this marriage. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. And I just kept going and going. And then the more time that went by, the more that I would tell myself, if I could lose weight, this would happen. If I lost weight, this could happen. And then after having all my kids, fast forwarding, 6 years, we'll say 5 years, about 6 years, let's say. So this was, I started really getting into fitness about 2010. So this was about 5 years, yeah. And I would work out with other people. I would do challenges with other people, and I couldn't understand, why is it that if we were doing the same workouts, we were eating the same diets and doing all these things, what was it working for everybody else and not me? And this is not family. We're talking about other people that I would just meet. So then I started beating myself up about that. I'm like, am I not pushing enough? Am I not running fast enough? Am I not putting enough time? And all of this. So it all became about wanting to perfect the exercise, wanting to perfect the food, wanting to perfect everything. And one day I was talking to one of my cousins who is, she's a fitness freak. I love her, my baby. So both our names were named after gems or whatever. So I don't want to say her name because I haven't talked to her about it. So she tells me, she's like, you know what, you can't think, because I know that she's gone through her own self-image thing. She goes, you can't worry about what people are saying. She was like, you are doing everything correctly to be healthy. And if the weight is not coming off, there has to be a reason. But you cannot allow what people say, or what people feel that you should look like, affect you like that. And I started to think about that. And then I started to look into, okay, so what is wrong? Not with me in a mental, physical way, but what is wrong in a physical way that the weight is not coming off? And I kind of started putting it that way. So every time people say, oh my God, but you work out so much, why haven't you lost weight? You know what? I don't know. There has to be something medical underneath it. And people just kind of like, give me that look and this and that. And even my physician at the time gave me that look, like, no, you're not doing everything you say you do. So I remember one day after my physical, she was looking at all my numbers, my blood work, everything, my respirations, my everything. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? She's like, there has to be something underneath. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, if we look at you on paper, your image, what you look like, just looks nothing like what the, because of the way I looked physically, I should have had, probably been pre-diabetic, probably high blood pressure, all of these other things, high cholesterol, all of these things should have been out of whack. But internally, my blood work, my respirations, everything was of an extreme fit person that put in the work, that watched what she ate and all of this. But the weight itself was not coming off. So prior to being diagnosed, throughout this journey, I decided, you know what? It's not going to be about the weight. It's not going to be about the number on the scale. I'm going to focus on how I feel in clothes, how I feel about myself, and I'm just going to set goals that have nothing to do with weight. So one of my main goals was that I wanted to run a 10-minute mile. Now we're talking about a 200 pound girl, which is what I am about now, averaging, whatever. And at the time, I was training at the gym with this wonderful guy that I met. He actually became such a huge supporter. He does not know the impact that he had in my life. And I mean, prior to him, I've had other trainers that have really worked hard. And I had seen some changes here and there, but I could never manage to keep them off. But he changed my life in such a way that he really cared about what he was doing. And he started training myself and a couple of one of my friends. We ended up actually meeting him at the gym. And again, everybody started losing weight, hitting their goals. And I'm just like, you're like, what the heck? The weight is not coming off after months and months and months and months. And I mean, we were at the gym at like 5 in the morning. So that means I'm getting up at 4 something in the morning to be at the gym for an hour and a half to 2 hours. I mean, we would do everything from strength training. We used to squat. We used to bench and run and this and all of these workouts. And my number's not budging. And I was like, okay, let's keep going. So, during this process, I had to stop because my body was starting to show more symptoms. And I started working out at home. Again, one day I remember the kids were gone with my ex-husband. And I sat down in front of a mirror. I used to have, in the entrance of the house, this huge mirror that took the entire wall. So you could see your entire body. I remember the front door had this thing, it was like a glass thing, so I covered it. And I got completely naked. I stood in front of that mirror. I degraded myself. I called myself names. I put myself down as much as I possibly could. And if I tear up, it's not that I'm hurt. I am a very emotional person in general. So there are certain things that, even if I'm talking in regards to somebody else or anything like that, and sometimes even if it's something that is emotional, in a happy way, because I am happy that I'm able to speak about it now, I tear up. It's just what my body does, and I've learned to accept it. And I sat there and I cried, like, in pain. And I remember falling down to my knees and looking at myself. And I closed my eyes and I was like, why me? And all I kept getting shown was that image of that 4.5-year-old girl retaliating not to wear dresses, retaliating by peeing herself not to wear stockings. And I sat there and I was like, what would she think of me? I'm 20-something years old. I was 20. At this point, I was probably like 24. No, I was a little older, 26, 27. I was like, what would she think of me? Look how strong she was at 4.5. She didn't care. She voiced what she wanted, what she didn't want, even when she wasn't heard. Excuse me, papi, I'm doing a video. Thank you. Sorry, that's one of my sons. And I was like, wow, she'll be completely disappointed in me. I lost who I was. Because at that age, at 4.5, at 5, she knew that just because close the door, papi, please. Derek! Excuse me. Hey! Close the door. Sorry. You're gonna stay in here with the dogs? Okay. So I knew at that age that it wasn't about what other people wanted me to wear or what other people thought that I should look like. It was about what I felt comfortable in. And I would fight for what I wanted. So I sat there. And I remember like imagining, picturing myself at that age. And seeing myself pushing forth for what I wanted. And I stood myself up. I looked in the mirror. And I was like, finish saying what you have to say to you, or to me, no, to me, and get it out. And then the script is gonna change. So I did. I kept saying more things, and then I cried, and then I started laughing because the image of me peeing myself and seeing how frustrated my mother was because I didn't want to wear dresses and stockings kept coming to mind. So I started laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. And then I looked myself in the mirror again, and then I started to speak about the things that I liked about myself, the things that I liked about my body. And whenever that little voice would come in to try to bring me down, I'll be like, no, this is the truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. And I did that, not the crying but I did the speaking life into myself through my images on a daily basis. I don't know for how long. So every time I would get out of the shower, I would stand in front of a mirror, a huge mirror, where I saw all what people call your flaws. And the likes became love. So by the end of the process, I was telling myself how much I loved myself, how much I loved every single part of myself. Now I'm going to show you a picture. This picture is not about, not to shame anybody or anything like that. This picture is just about, this was right after I was diagnosed. And I was put on medication that allowed me to rest while I slept. Because my issue has always been sleep. So as of right now, my weight can fluctuate in a week anywhere between 15 to 20, 25 pounds, depending on how much sleep I get, how much rest, I should say. And I have a narcolepsy channel that speaks about narcolepsy and how it affects our body. Now, with that being said, it really all depends on how much rest I actually get, and that really depends on how adamant I am about staying to my nap schedule so that I get the rest that I need. Because what tends to happen is my body starts to retain a lot of fluid. So a lot of the weight that I gain is fluid. But it also, if you don't get enough rest, it, holds on to what you're putting into it because it really doesn't know how to... Anyways, you can go look at that channel. Anyhow, when this all started, this is right here. We're not going to look at this. This is what I look like. And I'm going to put a picture of it. This right here. This is, I think it was about 207 pounds. Now, when I posted this picture as full in Facebook and Instagram, I was very scared because I didn't want people to see this. Don't know why, but I did. I posted it anyways. And at this weight, right here, I was able to not only run a mile in 10 minutes, I was able to run multiple 5Ks. I got to a point where I was able to run 2 miles in under 17 minutes. Here. Not here, not here, not here. Self-love, self-acceptance started here. Okay? Here Where people will tell me, oh, but you don't look like you work out, or you don't look like you do this, you don't look. Well, I do. I know that I do, and I know who I am, and a number on the scale is not going to change that. Now, this is in about 3 to 4 month process. What happened here, the only thing that changed here was not my exercise routine, because I was still doing, I'm a huge I love Beachbody. I'm not selling them. I'm not a coach. I tried it for a while, but it didn't work out for me. But anyways, my heart wasn't into selling things. I don't know why. But this is one of their programs that they started that I wanted to do. And I always documented all my stuff. But this program I started about a month after I was diagnosed with narcolepsy, and I started reading about how it affects your weight and stuff like that. And I had started medication. Now, medication that has started, it's not about the stimulants, because I'm still on stimulants and my weight still went up. This was a medication that allowed my brain to rest without dreaming. Because in narcolepsy, we tend to, the way that they described it to me, my doctor, was that I spend about 90 to 90% of my time when I'm sleeping, dreaming. So my brain never really shuts down. So I have worked throughout the years. I was diagnosed in 2018. And since then, 2017. Was it 2017? No, I worked 2017. 2016, sorry. In 2016, when I was diagnosed, I was put on a medication that really helped to suppress the dream. So when you dream, your body is as if it was awake. So your heart rate is up, your blood pressure goes up, your respirations go up. So your body is almost as an awake stage. So your body doesn't get to recover. And that's what was happening here. So when people saw this change in 4 months, and people are like, what are you doing? People thought that I had this huge secret that I didn't want to share. And when I kept on telling people I'm resting, and they're looking at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, look through. And I have since deleted my Facebook and my Instagram. It was something I felt like I was called to do. But I would refer people back to 200 years before, where I was posting constantly every day about not giving up regardless of what the scale said. So I was constantly posting about my workouts, about my everything, so that they could see that I was in line, and so that they could see that this all happened because I rested. And the only reason it happened was because I accepted myself when I was here. And I accepted that I was doing everything that I possibly could to obtain the results that I thought that I wanted. Now, when I got to here, everybody loved this. I actually got a little thinner than this. I didn't find myself here. I found myself here. So when people will come up to me and say, oh my God, you lost so much weight, you're so pretty. Oh my God, you lost so much weight, that looks cute on you. I had no problem saying, what does my beauty or prettiness have anything to do with my weight? My beauty, my prettiness, my light, my glow comes from within me, not from a number on a scale. Then it became that I was a bitch, that I didn't know how to take a compliment. No, I know how to take a compliment. Oh, Perla, you look so pretty. Oh, Perla, you look beautiful. Oh my God, I love the wear. I love that dress. That dress looks beautiful on you. That dress looks pretty on you. Thank you. Not, oh my God, Perla, you lost so much weight. You look so pretty. So what, I didn't look pretty at 200 pounds? Because I'm exactly the same person. I speak exactly the same way. I carry myself the same exact way. I have the same values. I follow the same values. So why are you defining my prettiness based on a scale? I remember going over to visit family when I was like this. the first words that come out of a group of my aunts was, oh my God, you can't let yourself get fat again because, after you worked so hard. I've been working hard for 7 years. What makes you think I'm going to stop working hard just because I look what you want me to look like? I was like, and I told him just like that. I was like, and if the weight comes back, it comes back. It's not going to define who I am. Throughout the next year and a half, about 6 months after the medication, I had to stop it because of severe reactions. In my gloves. I ended up with secondary medical issues and stuff like that. So I switched doctors. We decided to go through different routes. We went through all the medications first. Then we tried alternative meds. We tried herbs. We tried a whole bunch of oils, everything and anything you can think of. Because my focus wasn't about staying on this. My focus at the time was, I'm going to show you. Where is it? Yes, I keep a lot of pictures. My focus was about staying. Where is that picture of me at work? I'm gonna cover some of the sign for work because I don't have permission to show. But this was my focus. This is what became my obsession. And this was another part of the dark night of the soul that I had to go through. But my main reason for fighting to find a medication that worked was work, not this. I love this shirt, by the way. I still have it. Finding you, you're strong. Find you're strong. Anyhow, so that when we went through about a year and a half, almost 2 years of looking for meds and missing a lot of work because I was having adverse severe reactions. And at this point, once I had stopped everything completely, my weight started creeping. And when I had to leave work, I went through a period where I was so depressed. And of course, when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. So yeah, the weight creeped up. But one of the things was, it was funny because we went over to see family and I had gained weight. And I remember somebody asked me like, oh, aren't you afraid of what they're going to say? And it completely was not even in my mind. I was like, what do you mean? Well, the last time they saw you, you had lost so much weight and now you've gained it all back. And I'm like, what does that have to do with me seeing my family? And it's funny because when people think that you are a bitch or that, you're just a mean person in general, when you state certain things, it stays with them and they won't mention anything. Even if they speak amongst themselves, which I know has been done because it comes back to me. Nobody said anything directly to me. When anybody saw me, they were like, oh my God, how are you doing? We know you're not working anymore. How are you feeling? This and that. Nobody mentioned anything about my weight. And it was a surprise to certain people that normally would didn't. But they knew where I stood and they knew that they couldn't shake me when it came to my weight. Because what I had said at the time, I meant it. Because years prior, when I was being, quote unquote, advised by many people to get plastic surgery, to get that perfect body, I had, after multiple times, years after years, told the same exact thing to everyone in my family. So they knew that once I said something, I meant it, and that I was not going back on my word. So long story short, I should say, that was where my journey began. And I completely understand if a lot of people cannot relate, because a lot of us really do start this journey when we go through an emotional breakup, or we lose our job, or something, a severe what do you call it, like medical condition or anything like that. But I was led to understand that you know, at this point, this is the part of the journey that I want to join. Because I honestly, now that I think about it, I think it started when I was like 4. Where I was like, no, you're not telling me I'm going to wear that because I'm not going to wear it. But this is a part that when you look at life and you look at society, we're constantly being told that we are not pretty enough, that we don't wear enough makeup. Let's not even talk about that. Ooh. We don't dress the way we're supposed to dress. We don't, carry ourselves the way we are meant to carry ourselves. We are, I'm a female. I'm supposed to have long hair. I'm supposed to wear makeup. I'm supposed to do my nails. I'm supposed to do all these things. And I'm just sitting here like, yo, I just want to be freaking comfortable. I want to be able to go for a hike with my kids and not worry that I'm going to break a nail. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to play with my dogs. I just want to be able to live my life my way. And when you start to express yourself in that way and you really hold up to it, because at that point, when I started speaking the way that I started speaking and I started standing up for myself, I was not only standing up for myself, but I was standing up for other people. So when people came to me and like, oh my God, you so-and-so gained so much weight, I'm like, what does their weight have to do with who they are? People would just look at me. Oh, did you see? She shouldn't. Why? What is it any of your business? What she's wearing, what she's not wearing. Just because you're not comfortable in your skin, just because you're not comfortable in how you look, just because you do not value yourself, do not try to put somebody else down. And that became my main thing. I was sticking up for people without people even knowing it. And what that happened was then, I could walk into a room and if people were talking about other people, it went from a full conversation to like a whisper to a shh, silence. I was not engaging in conversations with people. So because they couldn't attack me about my weight at the time anymore, then they started attacking. I shouldn't say attacking. Because they couldn't find a fault in my weight and they knew that I wasn't going to allow it to get to me, then it became about after I was diagnosed and I had to come off medications, I had to try to find a sleeping pattern that worked for me. So even if I went to visit family, even if I went to places, I try to stay on my schedule, or every 3 to 4 hours, or every 5 hours, or whenever I felt like I'm going to take a nap. And then it became if I would take a nap and I was up for 2 hours, or if I slept the whole night, it was like, well, didn't you just wake up? Your point? My body's asking me for a nap. I've explained narcolepsy to you. I've explained how it works. I explained about the rest. I've explained about everything. If you are unwilling to understand, or if you only understand what you want to understand, that's not my problem. But if my body's asking me for sleep, guess what? Go sleep. You don't like it? There's a TV. There's a door. There's some books. Entertain yourself. Then it was like, oh my gosh, you're so mean. She is such a... Guess what? I wasn't here. I was not put in this world to please you. I wasn't put in this world to live by your rules or by your definition of what I should and shouldn't do. I was put in this world to be myself and to stand up when people choose not to, when people are too afraid because of what people are going to say and because of what people are going to think about them. Guess what? Regardless of what you choose to do, regardless of what you choose to believe in or anything like that, there are always going to be people who do not agree with you. There's always going to be people who do not understand you. And there's always going to be people that are going to judge you. So all that you can do at the time is be yourself, be honest to who you are, and carry yourself with enough dignity and value to know that nobody in this world can shake you down. And be truthful to you. Because at the end of the day, when you are down, when you are broken to the core, when all you want to do is dig a hole and put yourself in there, the only person, and I'm not talking about in a spiritual sense, do not take my words out of context. The only person physically that can get yourself out of that hole is yourself. Why? Because at that point, when you're broken to the core, you look for guidance. You plead to God, to source, universe, whatever, whomever, however you want to describe it. I say God. I cried to God to take my life because I didn't want to deal with it, at many times before. And when I allow myself to become vulnerable to the point where I was true to myself and I was able, the same way, because if I'm pretty sure if I tell people, take a list of the things that you don't like and whoever irritates you the most, you can fill up this little notebook probably in a day or two. But if I tell you, what about yourself? Write about the things that you are doing to hinder other relationships, the things that you are doing to hinder yourself, the things that you are doing that are not correct. I'm pretty sure that half of this notebook wouldn't even be filled. You want to know why? Because we are too afraid to look inward, to look at the things that we are doing, the things that we need to change. Because it hurts to admit that we are not good. What is good? What is bad? We all have free will. We all have free choice. So we will always have something that we have to improve, something that we have to change. And as society, we have always been able to blame other things, to blame other people. It is easier to put the blame on others than to take the responsibility for our own actions, to take the responsibility for the things that we have done, to take responsibility for the things. And we're not talking about just physical things that we do. It's the way we think, it's the way we speak, it's the way we carry ourselves. Now, I am not saying to go out there and narcolepsy is kicking in. I'm not saying to go out there and portray. Do you know that word? Portray is a I can't say it. Portray that you are a mean person or a bitch in order to keep your defenses up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying even that. I am just saying is, regardless of how you choose to do it, there's going to come a time where people are not going to connect with you, because if they're not able to really evaluate who they truly are, they're not going to be able to understand to the depth that you're going to discover who you truly are. And that is okay. You will lose people in the process. And I'm not saying that people are going to be lost forever, but you will lose certain communications. You will lose certain relationships. You will lose a lot when you choose to stand to who you are. Because it is so much easier to follow the crowd. It is so much easier to follow other people. It is hard to stand on your own. It is hard to stand for what you believe in. And it is hard to be you. So, let's just say I hope that makes sense. But that is the part of the dark night of the soul that I wanted to share. There's definitely way more than that. And I pray and I hope that the journey of my way and how I had to go through all of that really helps people to understand from, I guess, a different perspective than what you may have heard from other people. And I want to thank everybody for watching. I know it's a very long video. I'm going to actually see if I can split it in half, maybe, and this way it'll be easier for people to watch. But anyways, thank you for watching. Till next time.